So welcome back to yet another tutorial on our channel. If you've not watched the previous video, you can check the link, or you can check my videos and watch the previous one we did where we selected the image in Lightroom and did some few adjustments. I didn't really take time to teach you more about the adjustments, but then I've made some few adjustments in Lightroom with regards to this image. When I click on my keypad, the Y, you see that this is the before and this is the after. Just you can't even see the difference, but you see I pulled the shadows here a bit, right? Yeah, and I've given some contrast, about 5 here. I've pulled in the highlight. I think the highlight is okay, and I've given a bit of gravity and texture. All right, so I used the 6D Mark II, which is an old camera, with a Godox AD600 and a continuous light for this particular photograph. It's true lighting. It's a pre-wedding I did for one of my clients. So if you've not watched the first video, go and check it up. Watch it as I show you how you will import into Lightroom, especially if you're a beginner. All right. So now I'm done with. I'm now about to work on this image. Put a bit of retouch on it. Not really much, because I always say that for me, retouching is not about smoothing people's face. It's about evening out areas that the tones weren't consistent, right? So every image is made out of 3 tones, like the mid-tone, the shadow, and the highlights. That is in regards to how the light works on the image. So, and also color, right? So I'm looking at how I'm going to make sure the light is consistent on all the surface, like all the areas, in a way that makes the image nice, because sometimes the light can create shadows in areas that will make the image not very beautiful. So that is what I'm going to do. That is all I understand by retouch, not to go and smooth people's face. So I'm going to start with one of these images. Let me use this one because I like the pose and how they are smiling. So I'm going to open this image in Photoshop. So you go to edit in Photoshop. Sorry, let me do it again. Edit in Photoshop. I'm using 2020, even though in 2025 I used to have 2024. I just decided to go back for a reason. So I'm that old school guy, but I know I'm not old. So right, I have the image here, and when you import the image, or when the image comes, it turns into a background, like the background for everything that you're going to do with the Photoshop layer canvas. Like this is your layer panel where you are going to start working. So the image has become the background. So the best thing you do is to duplicate by holding Ctrl J. When you hold Ctrl J, you duplicate the image. Then you can name the image whatever name you want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first off clean the background. So I'm going to do CB. I like using shortcuts, right? Don't want to be typing because I want a fast workflow. So I'm going to clean background. So I'm going to remove the stand here by using the patch tool. So with the patch tool, I just remove it. I can move it up and it's gone, right? And this one also, I can move it up a bit. I can decide to leave this light there, or I can decide to take it off. But I'm editing this image for a pre-wedding flyer where we are going to put some text on it. So probably I'm going to take it away. So let me do it and see how it goes. I'm going to use the fill content aware approach. If you are not familiar with that, when let me redo it again. When you use the patch tool to select, you can either drag it into and sample from a different area of the image is the same thing. Or sometimes if you want to take something away, when you circle it, you can even use the lasso to do the selection. Then you right click and you go to fill. You make sure you are on content aware, right? Make sure you're in content aware. Then you click OK. Content aware is more like an AI generative fill inside Photoshop, but this is an old way. This came before AI generative fill, so it's able to calculate areas where the software thinks that should take the form of where that object is. So for instance, if I want to take these people, their face away, like if I want to fill this area with content aware, the Photoshop will imagine that, okay, if you don't want the subject here, then that place will definitely be like a background. So it will sample the background and fill the place, making it look as though it's a background. So let's see what it comes up with. You see, so it's trying to guess what would be at that area without their face. So that is what I get. So I've taken my time to explain this because I'm focusing on you, the beginner, so that you can take it bit by bit. Because sometimes when you are a beginner and you are learning, you want everything to be very fast. You can consume and consume and consume, but you can never put it to practice. And that is what I want to avoid with this page. It's not about the many people that watch this video. It's about you benefiting from and whatever that you learn, you being able to apply it and hone it for your craft. That is why we are here. So I'm not rushing in anything. I'm taking my time to retouch this image with you so that you can also learn some lessons here and use it. Okay. All right. So now that I've cleaned the background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate I'm going to duplicate it again. Then I'm going to name. So now I'm going to create a separation for my skin color, and I'm going to create a separation for the skin texture, and that is what I'm going to use to retouch this image. All right. So with that, Control, I've duplicated the layer that I first did, and I'm going to name this one low frequency, so LF, and I'm going to duplicate again. I'm going to do high frequency, HF. Then I'm going to group. That's how we create an frequency separation. Like that's how we create the frequency separation action, or the frequency separation for you to do your retouch. So after you are done, you press Ctrl J, or you can select both image and you put it on this box here, the folder icon, and it will create a folder. See, folder 1. When you double click on the name, like the test, you can name it any name that you want. So I want to name it frequency separation, which is FS in caps lock. So frequency separation, you can type it fully if you want to. Now when I open the folder, I know this is my low frequency, this is my high frequency. My low frequency is the layer that will contain my color, like my color, and the light, the lighting of the image. Now, even though the highlight will also, the high frequency will also have the texture, or some of the light will can be seen there, but then the low frequency is what contains the color of the skin, and the high frequency also contains the texture. So I'm going to turn off the high frequency. On the low frequency, for us to be able to create a frequency separation, what we have to do is to first go and apply a Gaussian blur. So before you can create the frequency separation, you have to first apply guardian blur on the low frequency, the one that you want to use as your color, right? So I'll go to filter. That is where you can find the blur the blur menu. Under it we have also Gaussian blur. This blur is too much, 45, so I'm going to use mostly 4. I go with 4, very small, apply very little blur, because the technique that we are going to use, I'm going to show you 2 techniques. One of them is going to be the Gaussian blur technique, and one of them is going to be the mixture brush technique, so that you can decide for yourself which one that you want to go with, right? So I'll press OK. So there is a bit of blurriness here. Then I will now go to the high frequency, and when I click on the high frequency, I'll go to image, then I will go to apply image. Remember, under apply image, there are some few things you have to check here. This is a dialog box trying to communicate with you. So under the source, we know that is the title of the image that we are using. Here is it. So that's the source. And under the layer, we want to select, even though on the layer panel here we've selected HF, but because we want to create a frequency separation, under the layer on this apply image panel, we are going to select the low frequency. When we select the low frequency, the next thing is for us to choose a blending mode. So we are going to, with the channel, you leave it as it is, RGB, but on the blending mode, we are going to select subtract. When you do that, you see that the high frequency turns to more like a gray like image. And then when you are done with that, probably if it's the first time of you doing this, you won't get these figures here. Maybe it will be 0 0, probably it will be like 0 or 1, or maybe whatever, this or whatever way. So what you have to do is always, when you after you selected the blending mode to be subtract, you have to make sure the scale is 2 and the offset is 128. That is the value that we, like the software developers have coded into the software to be able to help you create that. So you can't change it. So make sure you put these figures here, 2 on the scale and the offset 128. You can write it somewhere and practice till it become part of you. Then you can throw it away somewhere. Like, you don't need to refer to your paper or whatever reference anymore. Okay, so now when I'm done, now I can, you see, when I close everything here, you see that this is a test, like this has no color, it's only the texture of the image. Then I've turned it on, of course. So here I'll have to go to my blending mode on the layer again, and now instead of subtract, we are not going to use subtract, we're going to select linear light. So when I select linear light, it's as though we have done nothing. So now when I close the eye icon here, see, this is our blur image for the low frequency, the one that I applied blur. So the image is not sharp now, it's kind of blurred. But when I put on the high frequency, which is only the textures, it brings the image back to normal, right? As the image is, it brings it back to normal as it's supposed to be. So this is what we term as frequency separation. So when you have been able to create this one, now what we are going to do is that we are going to work on the issues of the skin, some of the pimples. I like to do or remove my pimples and some of these blemishes from my high frequency, because mostly those things are on the high frequency. So you can use your patch too, or you can use the spot healing spot healing, or you can use the part 2, but I normally use the part 2. And remember, whenever you select your part 2 and you have this cross sign here, it means that you've turned on your cap lock. If you're a beginner, sometimes you might wander around before you remember. So you just click on the cap lock and you have this icon here, more like a box with some patchness around it. So now when I circle or select around this and I drag, I can sample from the skin there, and you see I'm able to take or work on all the small issues on the skin. Sometimes it's not some of them, or the issue might not be on the high frequency because it's more of a color issue than a texture issue. Then you can go and work on the texture or the skin, right? Okay, so this is a texture issue. Let me draw it very small. Yeah. One thing I want to say is that frequency separation, retouching is still useful in as much as you're a beginner. There is AI, which in times of need really comes of help. But I still advise that you learn the traditional way of retouching. For now, we are still hoping for better days. Now, the charges for AI softwares in retouching for you is high, and you're a beginner, probably not making enough money from a photograph, so you can't use all your money and give it to someone else, a software developer who just have created an automated system. And now you have nothing to save to upgrade your gadgets. I'm not saying that you shouldn't delegate, you shouldn't find easy way of working. I'm saying that if you're a beginner, you're not making enough money, learn how to retouch. It's fun, it's part of the process, right? It deepens your understanding about the journey and makes you appreciate photography more. So don't be in a haste to be using all these softwares that you have to pay for credit and all that. Learn how to retouch. That's why I've taken my time. You see, I'm very slow on this, not because of anything, just so that the knowledge will sink in and you can use it, apply it. I don't want to rush through, so that you just spend some time and you are unable to remember when you are going to retouch. So now, the first approach I'm going to show you is the mixture brush approach. I'm not going to share the Gaussian blur approach now. I'm going to start with the mixture brush approach so that you know the results of the mixture brush approach, and afterwards I will show you the Gaussian blur approach. But the mixture brush approach is what I will recommend for you, especially if you want to be able to work for agencies outside outside your country, abroad, huge agencies. I have a course coming up where you can even send me a message on my email. I'll put my email in the description, and I can put you on my waiting list. I have created a Telegram account. I also put it there. You can join. I've not yet started putting content there, but I'm about starting, so that you'll be first to notify, because I'm going to show you how you can sell your retouching skill online by serving agencies who are seeking for people to work for them, and they are looking at how professional your retouch is. And I'm going to show you don't have to panic. You're going to make good money. Sometimes the least they pay for doing something small, removing some blemishes, it's just like some few things, not any ridiculous retouching, is $5 up to $25 for a single image. So it's a good platform. I'm going to teach in that course, and I'm going to give you all the requisite knowledge that you need to be able to succeed. It's just a cool place to level up and to make money as a photographer in 2025, as we are heading to 2026. All right, so let's keep on. So now I'm going to select my mixture brush, right? So what I did was I used Control or Shift B. When you press Shift B in 1, 2, 3, 4, I think is the fourth one, which is the mixture brush. But instead of doing that, you can also use this, click here, the small arrow there, and you come down and select the mixture brush. Please, when you select the mixture brush for retouching like this, one thing you have to know is that the mixture brush, probably yours, this one will be having color, right? Sometimes this place will be having color. You have to clear the color so that it will be clean. Then always check that, make sure that this place is checked. When it's with color, right? And I've tried to brush, you can see the color there. And even but when I clean the brush and I even try to brush here, you see the color is left there. Sorry, it picks the color and leaves it there on the layer. So that too is not good. Let me undo it. Make sure that when you clear your brush, you check this one too. That means when I brush, it doesn't leave the color on the layer. You can see this place, pixelated place, like this pixel, yeah. And this brush is more like the oil paint artist brush. People who do oil painting. When you pick a color and you blend it to a tone, a specific tone, you see, you will come and clean it when you want to pick another one. But then when you check this, it means that it cleans itself whenever you apply the brush and you leave it. So now, like I initially said, we are trying to blend skin tones, not necessarily we making the face smooth. So what I'm doing is, let me use the guy because it seems the guy's image has a lot of texture. So what we are going to do is that we are going to, you see this area, there is a bit of let me use a small, let me select the brush. There is this area, sorry, let me do it. There is this area, right? So I'm holding a big brush, that's why. There is this area that is trying to blend, that transition into, I can call this mid-tone, and this is highlight. You see, between the space from here to the highlight, how it transition, and even how some area of this skin is darker than other areas, is what we are trying to correct, right? And even with the lady, it's not really a sharp image, but you see this area, there are some inconsistency here. Some inconsistency here that we have to correct. And even this place, the skin tone, the highlight is creating some inconsistency there. So our goal is to make the light play out very neat, like very smooth, consistent, not actually the skin that we want to smoothen it, but we want the tones to blend in a very unique way that makes the image beautiful. That is the goal. That is the goal. So make that a goal, and every step that we make as an objective lead towards that goal. That is what we are trying to do. So now, let me hide this. Let me take it from there. Now that I've been able to describe, let me go. So now when I pick my mixture brush tool, like I said, let me start it here. the values here, they are very important. This is the red, this is the load, this is the mixture, this is the flow. In this tutorial, I'm not going to explain much of this, but mostly choosing value, the value you choose here, especially when it comes to the flow, is more of like the how hard, or not how much of the color you are trying to put there. Is it at its 100% strength, or you have reduced it? You can reduce the strength of the color, right? Or the brush, let me put it that way, the strength of the brush. So the flow, I will keep the flow at 60, 65 is okay, and the load, I will keep it at 35 also. You are not supposed, the mixture, I will keep that one, let me put it 80. You are not supposed to use these figures. You can actually try out your own figures, but you can also use this same figure and use it on the image and see how it goes. So now I'm trying to blend. You see, let's do before and after. Sorry, let me turn this one on. You see, just by after choosing my values and just by brushing I'm trying to create a transition. You see, you are not, you don't have to make the brush too small, but you make sure that your brush is not too big. That is, or you are not pulling skin tone from mid, like highlight into mid tone like this. See how it draws or it moves through it. No, you make sure you brush in a specific toner area and make it big a bit small, so make it big a bit, so that it can transition smoothly, very smoothly into the other tone, creating a very smooth transition from that mid tone onto whatever tone that you are in that vibration. So it's more like I said, it's like painting. It's more like painting. You have now become like an oil paint artist, where you are painting an image. So now retouching with the mixture brush, it makes you even more like an oil artist, and it's another layer of creativity that you are learning. When you learn how to hold a physical brush, you'll be able to paint yourself or your dear one, right? So I'm just brushing, taking my time to brush through the tone that I'm in. I make it a bit bigger so that it will create a very nice transition from the tone that I'm inside into the other one, whether being shadow or highlight or mid-tone. So that is what we are trying to achieve here, right? Very nice. And you shouldn't do any much. You shouldn't do much. So you see, before, after, before, after, before, after. You have to take your time. You have to take your time. You have to practice. Practice is not like it's going to take you 1 year. It's about how many times you practice in a day, and how do you become exhausted. How many, like, if you can, that, how your brain work. You can do 3 retouch images in a day. That is your maximum. Then every day try and retouch 3 images of raw images that you get from online. You can ask a friend photographer to send you some raw images that he is not going to edit. It's not about how beautiful they are. It's about getting a raw image that you can practice on. So that also is very important. So you see, I'm just trying to blend the tones together. when I'm done, I'll do before and after for you. So before, see, my goal is not to go and use any other tool to make the face smooth. No, that is not my goal. That is not my goal at all. Alright, so sometimes when you zoom out, you are able to see the full picture, especially when you come to the skin area. The hand, you don't have to zoom in too much, right? Okay. So now let's look at before and after. That is with our frequency separation. I'm done for this frequency separation. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a curve adjustment layer. I like curves, using curves. It really helps bring contrast to the image, and it really helps the image. But then before I put the curve on, let me create a stamp visible layer like I'm trying to. That is by holding Ctrl Alt Shift E. You are able to merge all the layers together and create one merge image on top. That is what we call the stamp visible layer. I'm going to work on the eye, trying to give a bit of a whiteness to the eye. So I'm going to use the curve tool. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to my blue because I see that there is too much yellow in the eye or red. I'll pull it to a bit of blue. Then now under the mask, I will press Ctrl I, then I will hide the effect. Then I will come and use the normal brush by holding Shift B. I'll move from the mixture brush to the normal brush. Then I'll just apply white, even to the teeth. Very small. I'm using almost 60-70% and 30% for the teeth. Even with that, when I'm done, I'm going to reduce it because no human being has a pure white eye. So we are trying to make believe, we are trying to create realism, something that is not really true. But so when you are doing it, you don't do it too much. Even with my frequency separation, let me reduce it a bit so that I get a realistic. Yeah, there are so much to learn, but I will end here, and I want you to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to take my time to train you like this. You can join my Telegram group, and also you can send me an email so that any help that you want, if you want to me to mentor you, teach you photography, share with you my lessons, if you need any help, as you want to start your photography journey, you can send me a message and we can talk. Stay blessed.